Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell. And yes, I'm still sick, but I'm on the mend. Hallelujah. I have the perfect little spring journal for you today. This is Hop into Easter, the first of the month collaboration with Brenda, Rustic and Lace DIY, and Gwen from At Home with Gigi. Links to their channels will be in my description box below, along with the playlist of the other creators that have joined this collaboration. Guys, let's just jump in, and I'm going to do my best not to cough through this. So I have been really trying to use some of my journal kits that I have printed out, that have been printed out for some time, and stuff that's close and not going to be really difficult for me at this time with me being sick. So I thought, you know what? People do grateful for Thanksgiving a lot of the time, and why not do something grateful for Easter? This kit I've had printed up for several years, and it is French Bunny by my Porch Prints. And then I've been saving cereal boxes for a while. And so I thought I would go ahead and make a journal and use my French Bunny in this journal to be an Easter gratitude journal. So I'm going to show you how I did this. Now, creating the signatures and stuff is fairly easy. I've done it before, so this is just going to be a quick run through. Since this was already printed off front and back, all I did was come in, fold it into my scoreboard, and fold each of my sheets right in half. I didn't want to print out any more of the printable. I wanted to use stuff that I had, so I have this paper pad that I've been working out of, and I went ahead and cut it down to fit the book, and I wanted to create a flap to go over this. So all I did was I came in and I'm going to score it at 5 inches and score it at 10 inches. I'll just fold on those score marks and burnish it down. And I did that with all of my 12 by, these were 12 by 12s that I cut down to 9 inches. Now I just wanted to trim off my box so that I could have a nice big journal cover. Now the journal cover is going to be the highlight of this project. Now, what I did was I just went up from the bottom and cut off anything that had any damaged corners, or, if a box gets dropped, it has a little crushed corner. I just wanted to trim all of that up. And now I'm just going to come in and measure this out at 9 inches. And that way I have a nice tall journal cover for what I need. And just coming in with my blade, I'm going to slice off the top of that box as well. I just laid in that extra piece that I cut off, and I'm going to trim off one side of the box. Just one whole side of that folds over is going to be totally cut off. Now I have this great big floppy cover from a cereal box that's ready for the next step. Now, to do your signatures, I needed to make sure that they were all one level. So I'm going to come in and just line them up, put my metal ruler down, make sure they're even, because if you don't, you're going to have wonky signatures. But I am just going to use my blade to trim these off and make these all even. Now I'm going to just do a quick 3 pamphlet binding, which is sewing through these, and I'm just putting my signature pages in the way that I want them. So I put in one that is a flap between each one, and then I will make some envelope pockets at another time to put in there to help store some of my ephemera. So I've had this template, and this is one that I've used many times, and it's just on some really heavy card, and it's perfect for the letter paper. I come in with my awl and, making sure that it's all lined up, and poke my hole. Now I'm going to take my bookbinding, and this is a waxed, it's almost like an embroidery floss, but it's waxed. So it is a lot stiffer. And I have a really decent size eye needle here, and I'm just going to thread that through there and I'm leaving it attached to my spool at this time, so I'm not wasting any. And I'm going to pull that through the center, go up, poke it through, come out in the middle of the signature again, go down to the bottom and pull it through, and then back up to the center and pull it through. And now you have two pieces in the center that you can tie together nicely. And all I do is a square knot. I'm making sure that those are all nice and tight. I pull one of my threads through to the other side, so I'm tying over the long piece that I went down from the top to the bottom. And now I'm just going to do a little bow after I do a square knot, and there we have our signature done. Now just fold it over, burnish it down, and you're ready to go. Now I went and I pulled out some colors that matched nicely with the signatures. Now this is going to be a reusable journal cover, but I thought we're going to start out with these pretty blues, so let's do this. These are upholstery samples that you would get at any fabric store when stuff goes out of production. They sell their little sample pieces. Well, I was blessed to get a bunch of these from a friend, so that really helps me. And now I've got to use them, because I can't let them go to waste. So this was the perfect size, look at that, to cover my journal with. The problem is if you have something like the cereal box and you glue it all down there, you're going to have issues with it closing if you glue everything down straight to the box just like that. If you glue it when it's straight down, you're going to have problems closing it. If you glue it as it's closed like that, you're going to have problems opening it. So what I did is I came in and I measured clear down to where that spine is going to be for my cover. And then once I did that, I'm going to come in and we are going to just use my rotary cutter here and slice this right off to where we need it. So I'm measuring on my mat, and then I'm going to line up my metal ruler at the top and the bottom of my grid line. And now I'm just going to come in and slice that right on off. Pull that off, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And this way, all I'm going to do once I get these cut off is I'm going to come in and trim off the edging where it's all stitched together because I don't want that on my cover. Since I want this to last me a while, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac on this. Now our cardboard, it has that glossy finish, so I'm just going to lay the Fabri-Tac all over, and I'm not putting it thick. I don't want this to seep through and show on the other side of my material. I'm not going to use hot glue because that will leave lumps and bumps. I want this to be a nice, smooth cover for my journal. And now, once I got both sides done, I came in with a smaller piece to go right down that center. And you can see I'm like getting low on my Fabri-Tac, but I'm going to put that smaller piece right in the center there, and the corners of my album, of my journal cover, are going to be exposed at this time. But that gives me wonderful move. I can move that easily, and it's not going to have issues either way. Cut down on bulk, I'm going to come in, I'm going to miter my corners of my fabric. And that's just going to be coming in to each side of these and cutting out little notches. And you can see all the way around there, I got that done. Not going clear up to the corner on those edges. Now I'm still trying the Fabri-Tac here, and you can see it's Fabri-Tac. And now it's just coming on up, and I'm folding in each of those pieces to the inside of my journal cover. And I'm going to clip those down because this does not dry immediately. It does dry pretty quick, but it does need a couple minutes just to sit there. So that it's not like hot glue where it's going to, solidify real quick, or our glitter glue, which dries very quick. This is going to give you some time to maneuver. So if you don't quite have it where you need it to be, you can slide it around. I'm going to do this on all of my sides. I'm coming in and adding that Fabri-Tac, and then I'm going to pull it up and over the edge of my cereal box and clamp it down until it's nice and dry. Found another piece of material that would fit nicely with the colors, and I just cut those out to cover the inside, and I also covered the inside with some leftover of the cover fabric. I went ahead and used the template I made, and I came in with my Crop-A-Dile, and I'm punching out 3 holes for each, because I have 3 signatures that I want to put in here. So the Crop-A-Dile, it's tight because of the material. I mean, it is upholstery material, but the Crop-A-Dile does not have a problem going through that. Now, I would have loved it if I had some large eyelets here in like the bronze, but I don't. But I had 5 blue and I had a couple white. So I'm just going to put blue on the outside and white in the center. And these are a little small for this journal, but it does what I need to the outside. That is what people are going to see. That's the aesthetics. I want it to look nice. So I went ahead and just used this, and it worked great on the outside. The only issue was on the inside. It does not go completely around the fabric, which is fine. It is glued down. You can see there. It doesn't go all the way around, but it does grip onto the cardboard itself. So it's fine with me. Into my ribbon stash, and I found this beautiful little ribbon here. It's very rustic twine. And what I'm doing is I'm laying my beacons 3-in-1 now, and I'm laying that down on each side of that score for my journal cover. Now, I want, as you see, I'm squeezing it together kind of into the center, and I did not glue the center down, just the edges. And now I'm going to go ahead and clip that and let that totally dry. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. On each side of where that score mark is for the cardboard, lay that down so that the center of that crease is now going to be in the center of your ribbon, and clamp it down and let it dry. In order for these to be removable signatures, I wanted to use some elastic, and I have some different colors here, but I wanted this to be very neutral, and so I'm just going to go ahead and come in and use white. Now, white is not one I would normally use because it's very stark, but I did have that white eyelet on the outside, so it doesn't matter. And I think I came in here with 6 lengths of my journal cover. And that was perfect. It was perfect because you want it to be tight, but you don't want it to be so tight that that elastic wears out really fast. I'm just doubling this up because this is a thinner elastic. So I doubled it up, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a little stitch here. In order for it not to be, messy on the outside and not too bad on the inside, I had to play with it, but I figured it out. I came in through either the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter, the center eyelet. Then I go to one side and then all the way down to the bottom of that same side. Pull it all the way through, and now you're going to bring it over to the center on the other side. There you go. Put it back through that side, up and out through that same hole you started with. And now you're going to pull that around and go in through that last hole on the opposite side. And then you're going to pull that all the way down and through that hole at the bottom there. When you get that pulled all the way through, you're going to go to the outside again and pull it through that center there. Now you have that elastic on all sides, no extra anything anywhere, and you're going to tie that in a knot, just like I do my signature bindings, tie it in a square knot. And I did not tie a bow on this one. Once I got that square knot nice and tight, I did come in and trim off any excess, and you see there's not a lot left over. That was the perfect length. Now I can take my signatures, open them to the center, and slide that right on in there. So each season, I can actually change out the signatures and keep this really pretty journal cover. Now, yes, it is a little oversized for these signatures, but this can now be used for so many things. I'm going to create right here a little pen holder to keep a pen or a writing instrument inside my journal. So I'm just cutting off a piece of that same lace that I put on the outside. I'm going to use my Beacons 3-in-1 and load up a good portion right there, fold it over, and I'm going to clamp that right on down to the edge of the inside of my journal. Just using that pen as a marker part because I know I can put whatever I want in here. It can be a Sharpie, it can be a paint pen, it doesn't matter. But now I'm just going to go ahead and put that Beacons 3-in-1, making sure that my ribbon is coming across pretty straight right there, giving me room to put things in it. And then I'm going to put something heavy on top of it so that it will have time to sit and glue. Now, I went ahead and took that same fabric that I cut the inside panels out of, and I traced a bunny on it. Look at that. Isn't that just adorable? And I don't want this to fray. Now this material will fray, so I'm using some Mod Podge, and that's all I'm doing here is with some Mod Podge, and now I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. While that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and come in and cover the inside now of that journal cover. And I'm using some more jute ribbon here, and I'm going just like I did on the outside of the cover, just on each edge of each side of where that spine actually closes. Now I'm going to lay that ribbon down. That leaves that whole inside piece of that ribbon open. It's not glued down, and you'll see when I start to like maneuver the book, it's going to give us room to open and close this and still allow it to lay flat and still allow it to close nicely all the way without giving you an alligator mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that on there and cut it off and let it dry. Set just a minute or two, I went ahead and came in and just loaded the ends of that up with some of that Beacons 3-in-1. Because this is a jute twine ribbon, if you cut this, it will fray and disappear. It's time to decorate. I have this ribbon that's been in my stash. This crocheted ribbon was from Walmart. I have some Mr. Huey in tan, and I have a lovely Dollar Tree tote here that has all kinds of pretties that I've collected over the years. The ribbon and things are just very stark white for me, and I mean, not that it isn't beautiful because it is, but it needed to be a little bit darker for the themes that I'm kind of going with here. I went ahead and pulled off 24 inches of that white satin ribbon, and I am going to use some parchment paper, some gloves, and my Mr. Huey in tan. This is dark, guys, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and lay this stuff down, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just spritz some Mr. Huey right on top of this. This is very much like tea or coffee dye, but I did not have it already done, and I have several colors of Mr. Huey, so I can do this in any color. And now I'm just going to lay it down and let it dry. It's not going to take much to dry. You see here, it's like, no, you need some more grunge on there. All right, so now I'm going to take in that other ribbon and cut the little tape part off there. And now I'm just going to spritz some Mr. Huey on this. And now you'll be able to see just the gorgeousness of what this ribbon is going to look like after it is done. And I'm just going to rub it in this little die here and just keep rubbing and scrunching and pulling it out, making sure I've got it covered. And it's just fun. It's just fun. To help it out drying, I'm just going to come in with my little heat tool and I'm scrunching it up. I don't care if this is straight or flat. I think the wrinkles and the crinkles is what is going to make this super special for me. So I'm just continuing to squeeze it around, but also opening it up to let it dry, drying in those little creases as I just dry this ribbon and this lace. Now let's transform this journal cover, this plain journal cover, into something spectacular. Now I'm going to use my Beacons 3-in-1, and because it's at an angle and that ribbon and that 3-in-1, it dried, but it looks a little wonky. So this ribbon laying on top, just like this, is going to cover up any wonkiness and make it look fairly straight. And I just love that. Just that illusion of that laying right there on top. Isn't that just beautiful? I'm so glad I dyed that. Now that little satin ribbon is going to become our closure. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off a straight edge on this one because I'm going to come up under and glue that straight on down the back side of the journal. But as I was doing this, it's like it worked out fine. I put it on there and I'm thinking, did I think this was the front or the back? I don't remember, but I know that I trimmed it off. Yeah, I'm thinking this is the front of my journal, so I trim it off. And it's not, it's the back of the journal. But we fix it. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. We're going to lay that crocheted lace down first and cover up the wonkiness of this spine ribbon. And I decided it would be best if I laid that down first to make sure it has a good it was adhered well. There we go. It was adhered well. And then I can put the other crocheted ribbon on top of it. I lined that up, the satin ribbon up with the one coming out the bottom, so I knew that it would be right at the same area as the one I just put on. Now this is just going to take a moment to dry. And now here I'm like, ah, shoot, it's upside down. It's like, where's my pin holder? So, hey, look, now we're right side up, but that's okay. What I did is I'm going to just come in and fix this. I'm going to go ahead and trim off this side since it's the front, and I don't need all of that hanging over the front. And now I'm just going to come in with that Beacons 3-in-1 here, and I'm going to lay these two on top of each other. I'm going to lay that down, put that one in, lining it right up there, and then I'm going to glue that other one right on top after I trim off the excess, of course. And we're going to glue that right down on top, and then that's going to sit and dry, and we're not going to have any issues. No big deal. It's now all secured on there. So I was looking at the closure I had picked out before, and it didn't match. And so I was going through and finding something different, and I found this key, and it says the key to life, and it has the cross on it, but it was copper, and it was really, really bright. So I went in and got some Rub and Buff in my antique gold, and I am just going to tone this down just enough where it is not so shiny and bright, and it will fit in this journal perfectly. And it's not all about Easter for that. It's the key to life, yes, and that is Jesus Christ. Hallelujah. So now I have the insides is done. I want to have this glued down just a bit more there. And so I put some Beacons 3-in-1 and laid that down and let that dry on the front of that cover. And this beautiful piece here, I'm going to go ahead and add some Beacons 3-in-1 on the back of those little legs and sit that down right on top of that cover. I really wanted to show you that piece. Oh my goodness, is that not beautiful? It just is so pretty. And it had little legs on it where you could like bead your wire through. It's a bead, but put your wire through to create a necklace. But it made the perfect closure here. And then this little bow has a little book hanging off of it. And I thought, oh my goodness, yes, that is going to be the center of the top of my journal. I just think it's beautiful. So I'm just holding that down just a few minutes so that can grip. But I think, look at that. It's just a bow with a journal hanging off of it. And I use the Beacons 3-in-1 on there, and look at that. It's perfect. Okay. So for the closure, I went ahead and opened the book up to where it would need to be if it was full and trimmed it off. I have that key and I have some ribbon clasp closures there. And this is great for making jewelry. If you're making like a ribbon necklace, you put these clasps on there and they have little openings where you can put your jump ring in. It seals your ribbon. You don't have to worry about it fraying or anything. Now I'm just trimming off a little bit that I did not get tucked in there. I'm going to pick a jump ring that's the same color of my ribbon and my ribbon closure, and I'm going to just weed that jump ring right on through that loop and into that key, and now I'm just going to go ahead and close that up. Put 2 of those ribbon closures on the end of my journal closure, and the bigger ones, and that gave me a longer piece that would weed right on through there perfectly. Now for the key, I went ahead and just folded that remaining ribbon in half, and I am going to use another one of those large ribbon closures, and we are going to place this in our book. So what I'm going to do is line that up just over the inside center of my book, take one of those large ribbon closures that I used on the closure, and go ahead and place that on there and grip that down right onto the spine of my journal, the spine of my journal cover here. And that now gives me a great little bookmark that I can move around into whatever signature I want. And it has that beautiful key now hanging there as well. So I can hang one on the inside and leave the key on the outside or the inside. It does not matter. But I really like that just hanging there. And now that bunny, I'm going to take a garment pin with the same colors that I've used throughout the hardware on here. And I'm just going to use a garment pin to attach him to the ribbon, the lace on the front of my journal cover. Oh, wow. Whatever I do, if I change this out per season, I can just put whatever on the front of that and just use a garment pin to pin it there.
There you have it, my crafty friends. This is my Easter journal. Now, of course, my cover can be used for many different journals as I go along. I can remove. I love this closure. It's just enough to keep that closed. So I can do my journaling for Easter, being grateful for what has been done to save me. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And now I can come in and I can just decorate this. If you notice, I've decorated the cover. I love this, with neutral colors, and I can just add what I want during different seasons. I just think it turned out adorable. And this key, is that not just awesome? Key to life with the cross and the heart, and just knowing that God came to save us. Hallelujah. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Your time's precious, and I know it, and I am so grateful that you spent some of your day with me. I just love how this turned out. I know it's not my normal crafting stuff, but I do love making journals, and so I did want to share this cover with you. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I hope you will consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. If you want to know when my latest video has gone live, hit that bell notification. YouTube should notify you when my latest video is up. As always, guys, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.